Hello, hello. This is Pastor Jose Abdiel Matamoros from Casa del Rey, Church of the Nazarene in Apopka, Florida. And I'm presenting you this project as your pastor, trying to understand better our mission, our vision, and how to reach out better our community. So let me explain you something about the community. First of all, our project has to do with the trends, the changes that have been happening in our neighborhood, in our whole community. I'm going to talk to you about the statistics, the data that explains a little bit more of that, and why we want to move on, pursue this project. We, Casa del Rey, the Hispanic Church, we are part of the Apopka Calvary Church of the Nazarene. And this Anglo congregation who embraced us as ministry, they have a vision to reach out not only the Hispanic community, but also the Haitians and the African Americans. But in my case, I'm going to talk to you more specifically about the Hispanic community. It is a fact that this community has changed a lot, and that's why Calvary has recognized that, and we also are working together. That's why we are part of what is called the Better Together movement, we call it. One important thing to understand is that we, the Hispanics, we are an asset to this community. I don't know how you see yourself, but I hope you see yourself as an asset to this community. What I mean by that is that we are the fastest growing ethnic group in Florida, in the United States, but specifically here in Florida. And this is a challenge, a good challenge for the Church of the Nazarene to reach out the Hispanic community. It's a good opportunity to fulfill the mission and the vision, including the Hispanic people in our community. Apopka is known, and Orlando in general is known by the attractions, the touristic attractions. But at the same time, it's a place where people have opportunities. Families come here to work, specifically the Latinos. The Latinos come here to work, and these big parks, Disney, Universal, all those parks, if you visit them, you will notice the amount of employees who are from the Hispanic community. So these are the trends, these are the changes that are happening in our context. When we talk about a project, we have to consider the context. And the context in our case is very significantly changed because there is an increase of migrant population coming to our area, coming from Central America, coming from Puerto Rico, the Caribbean countries, Cuba, Haiti, all these islands in the Caribbean. A lot of people is moving to Central Florida. We used to think that only like the Mexicans are the ones coming to this area, but not anymore. The Mexicans are still here, and they are very established in this area, but the recent migration is more from the Central American countries as well as the Caribbean countries. Colombia, Venezuela recently, with the political situation that is going on in their countries. And they are coming to our neighborhood. So our neighborhood has gone through a transition. This church, for example, Calvary, was originally 30 years ago an Anglo-only congregation. It was a church of English-speaking church only, 30 years ago when they began. Pastor Page, 10 years ago, realized that the neighborhood has changed, and he invited me to be part of this ministry, me and my wife, to work with him. Once he told me, our neighborhood has changed with diverse ethnic families around us, and we cannot ignore them. We have to reach out them. And that is why we are still working here in Apopka. Of course, there are barriers, obstacles when you begin a new church, a new project. There's obstacles always. And as I present you this project, I realize that. I'm aware of the obstacles. One of them is the resistance from some people, even from the church, to accept migrant populations or people who come recently from other areas of the world. It's like with the Ukrainians right now, with the war going on. In some areas of the United States, they are coming and settle, but some people don't like that. And the same happened in the past with the, with the Chinese, with the, what else, with the European, the Poland people, the people from all those countries in Europe, when they started to come through New York as refugees or migrants. Unfortunately, not everybody understands this global dynamic of the migrant movement that is going on right now. Not everybody, including some people in the churches, unfortunately. There you see a picture of our sanctuary. Our sanctuary is very nice, it's very comfortable. We can sit at about 150 people. So we are ready to invite our community, our neighborhood, to be part of this project. Like our senior pastor, Gary Proel, always tells us, we are better together. We are better together. He has been instrumental in developing this vision, the better together. Understanding this as a multicultural ministry. And that's why at least twice or quarterly, we meet with the Haitians and the African Americans, plus our Spanish-speaking church and the Anglo, and we have a great celebration together. But not only to sing and, have a good time, but also to develop community projects, to create ideas on how we can serve better our community. That's the main idea. So we can say that the mission field is here. The church always talk about the mission field overseas, somewhere else, in Asia, in Africa, and even in Latin America. But now the mission field is here. Now the migrant population that is moving to our area is in our backyard, right here in our backyard. The mission field is now right here. And this paradigm, this change, this shifting of the migrant movement has created, like I said before, an opportunity. The significant increase of Latino, Hispanic population, not only in Apopka, but in the United States, has created a big opportunity in small places or communities like Apopka or large cities. We used to think that, the Latinos are, a lot of them in New York, in Miami, and Chicago, but now cities like Apopka also are being populated by the Hispanic community. Like these numbers, just to give you some data, it tells me that the population in Apopka is 53,817. I got that from the post office and also from the census, the 2010 census. So we are behind. Right now, the numbers probably are higher than that. And we are located in a zip code that just in our zip code, there are, according to the post office, at least 3,000 Hispanics in our zip code only. In the whole city of Apopka, over 10,000. Altamont Springs, the same. Longwood, West Orlando, small cities around us, another 5,000 to 10,000. So the seed that we are planting is going to grow. I believe that. Ethnicity in Apopka is like 45% is white, like half of the population here. 28% is Hispanic. So you see, we are almost 30% of the population in Apopka. And 21% is Black or African American. And 1%, two or more races, like Asians, non-Native Americans in this area. The Seminoles are no longer here. unfortunately. So this data supports my project. My project is to increase our outreach ministry using media, using one-on-one, face-to-face visitation in the community. Like the next Saturdays, I told to our church board that we are going to start going to restaurants or beauty salons or supermarkets, places where we know that the Hispanics gather there, that they go there often. So we can, on Saturday mornings, talk to them and invite them to be part of our ministry. Okay? And when I talk about Hispanics, also there are two types of Hispanics here in the United States. The more recent, Hispanics or Latinos that just moved from Latin America, Central America, South America, but also the Latinos who are second or third generation, and they have been living here. They were born here. Their parents are Hispanics, but they were born and they grew up here in this country. So among Hispanics who were born outside the United States, 7 in 10 or more are church goers. That tells you that the Hispanic, the Latinos, by majority, they like to go to church. In our culture, we are kind of religious. We respect religion and we like to go to church as a family. So that's why I said at the beginning that we are an asset to this community because we are ready for the husband, for the harvest. That's what I mean. Some immigration facts. Hispanics are driving U.S. population growth, representing 16% of the U.S. population in 2010. Hispanics accounted for the majority of U.S. population growth over the past decade. So it's every 10 years, it's more. When they make the census, they realize that there are more. Consider this also. When the census people go and knock on the doors, sometimes some of the Latino families who are not documented here, they prefer not to say nothing. They don't say how many are them. They don't give much information because they are afraid of la migra, we call, the migración. That's what happened. Recently, in Los Angeles, as you remember, we were there recently, and while I was there in Los Angeles, or the previous week actually, I think it was, all the presidents of the countries in America were together. They met for a meeting called the Summit of the Americas. And what was the focus, the agenda for that meeting? Migration, the migration movement, and how the countries can work together to resolve the problem, but at the same time, the opportunity, like I said. Because the migrant movement is not going to stop. It's going to continue. They can build walls on the border, or they can do whatever they want, but the migrant movement is not going to stop. Why? Because there are circumstances, situations, social, political, there's corruption, there's violence, there's economical decay in many of those countries, and that is what motivates people to move. You don't want to leave your home. You don't want to leave your country if everything was right, if everything was good, if there was opportunities for education, for employment and security and everything else. But when you don't have those, you think about your children and you do whatever it takes to take them to a better place. And America, or the United States of America, represents to them that better place to bring the family. So the Church of the Nazarene in the United States and Canada has been impacted, no doubt about it, by the migrant movement during the last decades, which is a reflection of the connection that we need to have with Latin America. Well, I think my video is taking a little bit longer, so I'm going to finish by saying that Florida is the place of many people with many Latino roots. Like I mentioned before, the vast majority of the Latinos here might be Mexicans, And depending on the region, here in Orlando is Puerto Ricans. If you go to Washington, it's Salvadorians. But regardless of where you go, the question is, what is the church going to do with this Hispanic population and with these Latinos coming to our country? The pandemic, the pandemic affected the church, yes. But at the same time, was an opportunity to develop media and to reach out more. Like myself, I have more followers now on the online services than the presential services that they call. So it's an opportunity. Don't be blind to that reality. Migration is in the Bible. Yeah, if I finish saying, mention that migration is something that is in the Bible. Yeah. The narrative of the Bible talks about people moving. The people of Israel, they had to go to Babylonia. They had to go to, different parts, forced in many cases. Jesus himself, Jesus was a migrant. Have you ever thought about it? Jesus was a migrant. Him and his parents had to go to Egypt. And because of that, he became a migrant. He was in danger in Bethlehem. So he needed to go out of the land of Israel to a safer place for a while. That's the case of migrant families here coming to our area also, like Jesus had to do with his parents. Well, I hope this short video helps you to understand a little bit more our Hispanic community and our project to increase media resources and invite the Hispanic community to be part of the Church of the Nazarene. God bless you all.